Welcome, friends, to this session. We have with us Major General Sudhakar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Meena. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. And
yeah. So let me just give you a brief about this very eminent guest. Major General Sudhakar served for 37 years in the Indian Army, retiring in 2020 as Colonel of the Mahar Regiment. A highly decorated officer, his career spanned diverse terrains and critical missions. Displayed exceptional leadership in the Kargil War, Op Vijay, repelling enemy advances on the Siachen Glacier at extreme altitudes. He also played key roles in the 2001 Army mobilization and high stake evacuations from Iraq and Yemen. Honored with the Vishisht Seva Medal, he now contributes to strategic discourse as a distinguished fellow and media expert. So, there's a lot more I can say about you, but I said, I tried my best to cut it short so that we could go to the questions. So, welcome, Major General.
thank you. Thank you, Meena.
Yeah.
It's a great delight for me to be identified firstly and then invited to a esteemed and distinguished channel of yours. And I wish you all the very best. And the kind of panels that I have seen in the run up to the start of the discussion, I feel very humbled. And when I say Mohan Pai and others, Mitra and others, so those kind of people makes me feel very. I hope I come up to your expectations. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Major General. Now, so let's go to the latest news. Now, the latest news is that Abdul Basit, former Pakistan ambassador to India, has stated from Singapore that India is on the verge of testing something big. It could be a thermonuclear bomb. Though India has not signed Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which is CTBT, there could be consequences which India may overlook. This will elevate India to the level of China as far as the arsenals are concerned. Now, I know, Major General, it's difficult to comment on this, but do you think you could make some sort of comments on this?
Certainly, certainly. See, you have to connect the dots when it comes to any issue related to security. When you join the dots, I'll try to keep my answer as short as possible. You got to see what is happening around the world. 2 days back, Donald Trump was heard making a statement that USA would like to go in for conduct of nuclear bomb tests. Nuclear bomb per se is a strategic arsenal, and it is meant for deterrence purpose. Generally, after the little boy and the two of them were dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, uh, there has never been an occasion where this weapon arsenal or the warheads have been used. They have been used for deterrence. But be that as it may, the weapon warhead per se, it demands continuous process of perfection. It has to be subjected to trials and repeated tests so that one refines and fine tunes the very complex system of nuclear technology. So, in order to do that, USA and Soviet Union, now Russia, and to large an extent China also, and France and UK, they have done very successful tests. But what has happened is, in past, I would say, 2 to 3 years' time, or rather, ever since Donald Trump has assumed 2.0, there are countries which are quietly giving out signatures of conduct of some tests, be it China, be it Pakistan, or be it elsewhere, even in Iran. We all believe that Iran doesn't have a nuclear warhead, but there were activities, there were signatures to the effect which were actually conforming or matching with the signature of a nuclear bomb blast which has taken place underground sometime between when the Iran was attacked, couple of days beside that side. Pakistan itself, we have heard that while Operation Sindoor, maybe a couple of days prior to Operation Sindoor or after that, we have heard in the social media as also open source of intelligence that in Karachi cantonment there was some blasts which were conducted, not one or two, many of them, and whose yield was something close to a nuclear blast. You see, and Kirana Hills, after the Kirana, this is all connected to Kirana Hills when it was, evidently it was hit. And so likewise, China, Lopnor is the place where they carry out nuclear tests. Now they have gone in for canisterization. They have also gone in for, these days, the modern technology allows the countries to go in for miniaturization or nuclear tactical weapons. Tactical weapons, the yield is smaller than the strategic ones. The little boy which was dropped over Nagasaki was 15,000 tons of TNT. And when you talk about a tactical nuclear weapon, it comes to in the range of zero point 0.5 kiloton to, let's say, maximum 5 kiloton. So, what is the impact on the ground level? The diameter, which actually burns up everything, reduces everything to carbon, is approximately 3.5 to 3.8 kilometers. And thereafter, it keeps on expanding circles. You have the blast effect, you have the firestorm, and you have the radiation. Radiation is for a longer duration. Okay. Whereas in case of a tactical weapon, it is covering only a small radius, which is around zero point 0.8 kilometers to 1.5 kilometers or so, not more than that. But when it comes to the wind factor, the wind generally blows all over the world from west to east. But there are places like, for example, Pakistan and India, the same wind also blows back towards cities like Lahore. So there is a danger that the radiation may impact Pakistan. So there are such like issues. For the time being, I would say that the trigger of Donald Trump, as per my analysis, is 2 days back, or 3 4 days back, Russia announced that there is a sea drone under the water. A drone is being developed. It is called as Poseidon. The Poseidon drone is got a delivery mechanism, and that delivery mechanism is nuclear powered. So maybe in Trump's mind there is a thought which is playing up, that if Russia is going in for trial, and as dangerous as having a drone under the water which can move, I don't think any country in the world has got a matching capability. Plus, it has got the ability to carry a nuclear warhead and destroy any kind of vessel or any kind of platform underwater or above water. That is one. Secondly, prior to that, if you remember, take your mind back, Russia also had announced and deployed uh, oceanic missile. Oceanic missile is a hypersonic missile, and it the speed of the missile is almost close to 10 to 11 Mach. Mach is more than the sound speed of sound, and that means no radar on Earth can ever detect this particular missile. It has got the capability of carrying a nuclear warhead. So, if this be the capability of the primary adversary today, that is China is number one, although, but going by the combat capability and experience, it is Russia which is miles ahead. So likewise, Pakistan has gone in for very discreet and I would say clandestine trials. Nobody has asked questions. What were the tremors? Those tremors, 4 5 of them, what were they? In Iran, when the conflict was going on, I think close to 11th of June, when the nuclear installations were actually hit by the American forces, it was told in the open media that almost close to 4,008 odd kilograms of enriched uranium, they are no longer in Iran. They have moved out to some place A, B, C, D, wherever. But my sources, my open source analysis indicates that it is not more than 60% which is enriched. It is more than 87.7%. Why am I making this benchmark, highlighting this is for the little boy which was dropped on Hiroshima way back in 1945, the enrichment percentage was 86.6%. It was 1% lesser than the percentage which Iran has achieved. So, likewise, all over the world, everyone seems to be doing the tests and trials of nuclear bombs of modern category quietly and discreetly, despite the fact that there is a thing called a CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, it was adopted in 1996. It has not been entered into force by because some key states have not ratified, and the key component of this comprehensive test ban treaty, it is got a mechanism, verifiable mechanism, and a mutual cross checking of the assets. They have to declare it, it has to be inspected by a team Plus, it has got an international monitoring system. In short, it is called an IMS to detect any nuclear explosion taking place worldwide. Basic aim is what? The purpose is to halt development of nuclear weapons and prevent upgrades. After having witnessed the destruction capability of the nuclear weapons way back in Second World War or Hiroshima, Nagasaki, it's a very conscientious decision taken by the relevant stakeholders to prohibit all the nuclear test explosions in the entire environment. And it was adopted in 96 but not entered. There are some countries which have signed but not ratified. These countries are China, Egypt, Iran, Israel, Russia, and the United States. The countries which have not signed and have not ratified are nine of them. You can actually Google up and go to CTBT. Annexure 2 will give you the list of 44 countries who have actually are members, and countries who have signed and not ratified, and countries which have not signed and not ratified. There are nine of them, but the three primary countries are India, North Korea, and Pakistan. So there is always a danger that once you get into this realm, then you are actually triggering a spiral, and that spiral is very dangerous, given the fact that world is already going through post pandemic, I would say, Russia Ukraine war. It is like an eternal, unending kind of a conflict unless some meaningful and tangible steps are taken. Hamas and Israel conflict is unending again. Recently, we had Operation Sindoor Phase 1. It is also an open ended kind of a conflict. Now, uh, Pakistan, this statement given by the erstwhile High Commissioner of Pakistan to India, Mr. Rasid, or the Ambassador Rasid, Basit. Now, he gave a statement in Singapore. To me, it is information warfare. They are trying to justify their conduct of a test which is pending. You see, soon after Donald Trump had made a statement that America is going to do, Pakistan and China and a couple of other countries have also joined the fray and declared that they are also going to do. So, in the entire process, there is an information warfare. There is a design in place, and they are building up narratives so as to justify their action, which India should take cognizance of. Even if we have not prepared or planned, if our end sources, which I don't think our end sources have already gathered, that Pakistan is up to some trick, and Pakistan is not, it is Pakistan alone. It is doing at the behest of America, because all the nuclear assets in Pakistan, to the best of my research and study, they are under effective control, including the Nuclear Command Authority of USA forces. I hope I have been able to answer your question.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, when UPA was in power, I remember when I was in Delhi, this same person, Mr. Bisht, used to come so often to Delhi, and whenever we went out, we would see him coming, emerging out of five-star hotels. Now, I mean, I think his entry has been stopped to India. So
Good.
very amusing.
I'm
Yes.
so happy. So happy.
So
Good,
now
good.
moving on to the next piece of news. We're talking about national security and NSA Ajit Doval, who on Friday said that terrorism has been controlled in India and that the last major terror incident in the country outside Jammu and Kashmir took place in 2013. Speaking at the Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture on Governance, he said, "Facts are facts and they cannot be disputed. Terrorism in this country has been effectively countered. We had a major incident of terrorism in July 1, 2005, and the last one in 2013 in the hinterland. Except for Jammu and Kashmir, which had been a theater of proxy war or a covert warfare for Pakistan, which is a different ballgame. The whole country has remained secure from terrorist attacks. Efforts were made, people were arrested, explosives are recovered." He also said that no terror attacks have taken place in the hinterland, even though enemies have continued their activities. He also said that left wing extremism has reduced sharply since 2014. So, your thoughts on that, Major General?
Meera, I can't compliment the present dispensation enough. It's kudos to them, and the entire architecture, the initiative, the foresight shown by the leadership, everyone. And our NSA is doing a remarkable job, and any amount of compliment, praise will still fall short. I'll be very honest with you. However, being a student of geopolitics, while I compliment him, he's absolutely right and he deserves to be complimented in all possible ways. I would like to correct the NSA, if I may, and if I respect my memory. He may not be absolutely right. There was one incident of a train explosion blast which had taken place. It is Vijayan Express in the year 2017. And if I recall, it was some ISIS or Al Qaeda. So some incident had taken place. Sometime I'm forgetting the date in the, but no casualties. There were no fatal casualties. So towards that end, I would compliment entirely that the leadership and the whole team is actually demonstrating not only synergy but also effectiveness on ground. What matters is walking the talk. In matters of security, generally we are told not to forecast your noble objectives, like our home minister has been saying, by 31st of March 2026, eradicate uh, the LWE. It's good to say that, but in matters of security, one doesn't know how is it going to bounce back. He's speaking with such confidence. It is remarkable. Very rarely you come across such kind of leadership in the world, anywhere in the world, who can say with thundering kind of conviction that it will be routed out, and it is happening on ground. So my only advice to the government is keep your fingers crossed. It is so dicey because the things in Bangladesh are actually unfolding at a very rapid rate. The Islamization and radicalization, the Rohingyas, the ISI. Recently, ISI officers have been posted there. One brigadier, two or some colonels, some lieutenant colonels. They don't have colonels, they have got lieutenant colonel majors, some officers from Navy and Air Force. And I'm given to understand that there are four brotherhood alliance in Bangladesh. They're going in for realization of greater Bangladesh, which will include states like West Bengal, Jharkhand, Orissa, Bihar, parts of Bihar, also all the northeastern states, seven sisters, if not seven, at least six sisters, as also Rakhine province. So towards that end, we have to be extra careful. I know the NOTAM has been announced. NOTAM is a clear indication of non-use or non-operationalization of the airfields and the air assets in that kind of area. One towards northeast, one is happening in the Sir Creek area. That is going to last for another couple of days. And today only somebody called me up, my old friend, that Kandahar areas opposite Balochistan, there is a joint demonstration of joint exercise between Afghanistan Air Force and Indian Air Force. It's a very good thing happening. And so that indicates and suggests that unless you have a base to land and take off, unless you have refueling facility, unless you have air traffic control, unless you have communication nearby, obviously Indian Air Force cannot operate. Although we have strategic bases, classified bases in Tajikistan, we have Fakror, we have Aini, east and west of either side of the Shanbay. That is the capital of Tajikistan, but that is too far off. So we would like to operate as close as to Bagram. So likewise, it's a huge success, which rightfully the present dispensation should take pride in stating so. They should go all out to achieve. You see, we have achieved a very significant milestone in such kind of activity called as proactiveness. Before an act takes place, our NIA, formation of the National Intelligence Agency, it's a conglomerate of wings. They have been brought together under one umbrella. That is how it has been able to integrate and synergize all our effort. We are able to anticipate what is going to happen. Less for, of course, he's rightly said, except for the proxy war in Jammu and Kashmir, which to me appears that it will keep happening intermittently. It cannot be stopped altogether until unless you destroy Pakistan from the face of planet and you obliterate it. It will continue in some form or the other. But this definitely is a remarkable narrative which the present dispensation has painted and given to the country. And I hope and pray the same momentum continues. And I'll urge the citizens through your channel that it is not only the Prime Minister or the NSA and and the security apparatus who are operating. It is the role and responsibility of every citizen of India. The security paradigm has assumed such profile. Like you see, the drones have been, the Operation Spiderwave launched by Ukraine, 4,500 kilometers into Russia, and over 18 months, then destroying the strategic bombers, not one, not two, 40 of them. You see these kind of warfare taking place. Look at the Hamas blacking out the electronic warfare, electronic spectrum, from 6:30 in the morning till 6:50 or 52 in the same, for 20-25 minutes or so, on 7th October 2023, during which they launch multi-domain operations against the formidable, most formidable armed forces of the world, IDF. If this can happen against them, then India needs to actually, we need to rise ever above our, our individual aspiration and requirement. We need to ask as to what we can do for the country, not what country can do for us. Nation comes first, always and every time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as you mentioned, there are reports that India helicopters are already there in Bagram and we are training Afghans. Has Afghanistan handed over the Bagram airport to India? If so, how is USA going to take it?
Behind everything happening, Meena, you would agree that there is some design in place. We may say that Munir has been invited thrice. He had hot biryani in the White House. Sharif was a runners-up kind of a thing. Prime ministers are not generally given this kind of treatment. But there is a bigger design in place. That bigger design, as per me, as per the geopolitics student of geopolitics, USA knows that Pakistan is a terrorist state. They've had a terrible same Donald Trump has gone to the extent of saying sometime back in 2018 or 19, he said, here is a state, we have spent $33 billion. What has Pakistan given us? Pakistan has given us lies and deceit. He's gone on record. Why only him? You talk about Hillary Clinton. When she visited Pakistan in 2013, she told openly to the leadership of Pakistan, ki, don't ever think that the snakes you nurture in the backyard of yours will continue to bite the neighbor only. They will also turn around, time will come, they will start biting you.
Yeah.
So they know they've gone through a very raw deal. They know that they were cheated by Pakistan. Pakistan played a double game, and Pakistan is very good. Now they're playing a double game with USA as also China. So therefore, you see, without a nod from USA, the foreign minister, the deputy or officiating foreign minister, Mr. Mutaki, wouldn't have been allowed by UN. Why don't you think that? He came to India not for 1 day or 2 days, for 7 long days. So look at the bigger aspect and look at the not the optics, behind the optics, I'm saying. Our Honorable Minister of External Affairs presenting those ambulances, giving a big key, and look at the kind of dialogue indirectly. And today, I think in one of the channels, they were taking my views. There was a map of a greater Afghanistan, which includes Pashtunstan of both sides across the Duran line towards Afghanistan and towards Pakistan. Okay, so this is it for that. If they can show and present a map as a souvenir to the chairman of Chief of Staff Committee, that is Lieutenant General uh, Shabir Mirza, Shabir Ahmed Mirza, who visited Bangladesh. Well, same thing. This is a great job being done by our NSA and the security team. It should have been done long time back, because in information warfare, unless you actually rebut, unless you protest in some form, unless you give a quick response, then you are being overtaken by them. So it's a very good move. Along with that, the joint exercises are being taken there. You see, now indirectly in your question, you have asked that helicopters, has it been taken over? See, without taking over airfield, you cannot move your
Yeah.
strategic assets. You have to have your these are my, I don't have any evidence with me, but I'm using my military analogy. You see, the airbase has to have been taken over. The tarmac would has to be maintained. There has to be BRO or somebody looking after the tarmac. There has to be your established communication system. There has to be a refueling facility. You see, the air what do you call, the turbine fuel, ATF. There has to be refueling facility. You have to have upkeep and maintenance. Okay, like you said, training. Of course, we have been training. I myself, I have been responsible to train the para SF people of Afghanistan. Although their English is very poor, I have taught them. In the process, I have learned Afghani from them, rather Pashtun language. I used to speak to
Yeah.
them in Pashtun language. Okay, so we have been training them earlier also, but now with the security environment gravitating towards more sensitive and very vulnerable stage, we have to play not tit for tat. We have to go a step higher. We have to remain ahead of the loop so that we are able to prevent. Gone are the days when you wait and watch. Today, Bangladesh is running out of hand. They are going in for Islamization in such a way that something akin to Iran is emerging. A
Yeah.
supreme leader, Yunus, he may become a supreme leader soon. If he becomes a supreme leader, then all these things, the chief of the army staff, the president, they will be, second fiddle. Nobody is going to listen to them. So it will be something worse than, I would say, Iran. So we need to predict such eventualities, start taking actions. I'm given to understand from the open source that our int people are already in Bangladesh. If they are not, I would urge the government through your channel, let's be proactive. We can't afford to have second Pahalgam. Nobody. And our people all in the entire country, rather than, poodle faking with issues which are irrelevant and insignificant, it's about time the opposition party applies themselves, studies, and carries out productive and constructive opposition rather than wasting time of the exchequer. And so a weak opposition was responsible. I'm saying again, 1962 debacle was primarily because we didn't have a effective opposition party. We need to have an effective opposition party. You see, wishing away this, that, and all, irrelevant issues, you are wasting time, not only your individual time, but the time of the entire parliament, entire Rajya Sabha, and also the money of the people. So, therefore, we need to actually focus onto such issues because the existence of India is under threat now. We have to be very careful, and I must compliment to the government of India for having taken rightful response. And we need to make our Western neighbor, that is Western to Western neighbor, Afghanistan, build strategies with them so as to counter Pakistan effectively from the western borders, that is Duran line. And effectively, it could be a military means, it could be a non military means, it could be kinetic, non kinetic, gray zone, or it can have a irregular warfare connotation, anything for that. As long as we are preventing another Pahalgam happening in the hinterland or anywhere in India, I'm happy. We should attain the capability of prevention is better than cure. I was in Africa in an old man's house. He taught me one beautiful thing: prepare and prevent, repair and repent. As long as we are preparing to prevent, we are actually doing that issue. Repair and repent is a very dangerous, very, very costly and prohibitive kind of option, which we
Yeah.
can't afford to have, losing 26 more people, innocent people, who've gone for tourism or their honeymoon or whatever to Jammu and Kashmir. It is simply not acceptable. The whole nation must rise to the occasion, be united, put your best foot forward, and support the government in this cause.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to France. Now, France is keen for the Dassault Rafale fighters to be made in India as it looks to strengthen its relationship with India based on three pillars: security and defense, partnership for the planet, and people to people ties. This is what the French ambassador Thierry Matou said. We already made two deals on the Rafales and we are ready to enter into a new deal. As a matter of fact, I want to specify something. When we compare our approach to that of other stakeholders in these sectors, our industry is totally in the mood of making it in India. So this is what France wants. Your comments on that, sir?
Excellent, Meena. You have raised very relevant issues. You see, today we already have a couple of Rafales, and we have to go in for immediate procurement of many more because we are grossly deficient in our air platforms, the combat jets I'm talking of. 29 squadrons, as our requirement is 42 squadrons. At some places, I have started seeing that requirement has gone up to 60 because our sphere of influence has gone beyond the traditional thought and understanding from Persian Gulf to Malacca Strait. I would say, but to large an extent, yes, he's right. Our area of interest or the sphere of influence is gone, got extended from Persian Gulf to Mediterranean, and that is to the west, and in the east from Malacca Strait to South China Sea. I firmly believe, and India needs to factor in these issues and start catering for capability enhancement. So once you do that, then the aircrafts actually fall in that bracket, and manufacturing an aircraft takes a lot of time. We need to be very mindful of the fact that the central issue is the engine. You see, we are dependent on America for GE 414 and 404. We all know that they have delayed it by 2 years, either deliberately or whatever, because always remember one thing, that no superpower or established power will ever allow any rising power to come up to its footing. So, what is China to USA today? India is to China. Also, India is to USA. India is something like it is second China. And USA won't like to have India, growing up to the status of China and start asserting itself. So, therefore, whatever we see, all the endeavors or actions taking place, they are basically to keep us under check, therefore retard our progress in economic development. So, to answer your question, I would say that France is welcome. It is one of the state of the art equipment and technology. But that make in India, indigenization or the self reliance is something which we cannot dilute and ignore. As long as they give us the saffron engine, as long as they give us the S code is something which is used to modify the carriage system. Like it is meant for something like meteor missile or spice missiles. But let's say at a later date we want to put BrahMos there. In order to change from spice or meteor missile to BrahMos, you need to actually modify or insert that code. The code is something which France or no country is actually going to give. That is what the talk was, and I'm given to understand some progress has been made. If that progress has come, it is a welcome development, and we must continue to negotiate with France and carry out production here. It has to be co-developed, it has to be joint venture in which co-designed, it has to be co-developed or jointly developed and jointly produced here in India. Only then it becomes meaningful, and it will be able to sustain the requirement and the demand of the security.
One last question before we close, Major General. A dangerous development near India's eastern frontier has set off alarm bells. Hafiz Saeed's closest aide, Ibtisam Ilahi Zahir, has arrived in Bangladesh and is moving along sensitive areas near the India border. So, this is something quite worrying, isn't it?
Certainly. While this is a very some kind of a development, be assured, if the present dispensation has ensured that there has not been any terrorist attack, any violent attack, except for the one which I raised in the country since 2014, be assured something substantive and meaningful is being undertaken in Bangladesh. So much so, day before yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard had given a call to Chief of the Army Staff of Bangladesh Army. Okay, now the red lines are being crossed. You people have to chip in. So immediately after the call, the chief of the army staff um, and the chief of the naval and the air force, they had all gone to Yunus. They had meeting for 70 minutes, and Yunus was planning something different. They are taking advantage of the uprising, so-called uprising in the month of July, and they want to have a constitutional protocol issued out, which is out of the ambit of the constitution. Something on lines of creating an Islamic republic, supreme leader, like in Tehran or Iran, and also discount the requirement of having elections in the month of February. These are the inner dynamics which doesn't actually come in the open domain. So, so the right time, right action, right intervention by USA taking place. I'm sure this guy who's roaming around in Bangladesh he's under the radar screen of our guys. Necessary action would be taken, and We'll leave it at that, and let's see what are the turn of events taking place in Bangladesh and around. There are many things happening because our Siliguri corridor is close by. So one has to be very careful about what one is speaking and what
Yeah,
one is seeing.
absolutely.
So we know the sensitivity of the Siliguri corridor. So good to actually play our words, articulate in a meaningful manner, and keep our fingers crossed that every challenge that comes, I would say, when I say keep our fingers crossed in a favorable manner, it must be taken as an opportunity by India. We must actually, like Galwan took place, that happened to be a turning point as far as the infrastructure development is concerned. That happened to be turning point as far as the acquisition is concerned. You see, we have doubled down all the gaps and the deficiencies which are existing in our armed forces, if not 100%, we have managed to bridge the gap. So that gap bridging, and plus we have been able to consolidate and reorganize ourselves. Earlier, we had four strike corps looking towards Pakistan, oriented towards Pakistan. Now the threat towards northern border is actually got enhanced. So therefore, we have to reorient, rebalance, reorganize, and cater for not only the extended standoff which is taking place, but also be prepared for any kind of offensive action. We are ready to go in. But then we need to actually keep our fingers crossed when I say we have to be prepared for the consequences of every action that we take. Are we ready for that? But the bottom line is India cannot afford to have another Pahalgam inside or in the area of influence taking place where the Indians are subjected to such kind of mayhem and such kind of carnage in future.
Yeah, indeed. We are very proud of our defense forces and our army officers and naval officers and air force officers because the kind of work they're putting in is so admirable. Thank you so much, Major General, for this wonderful conversation. We'll meet you hopefully next week with some more news. Good night. Jai Hind. Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you, Mena. It's a great delight once again to actually connect with you, and I'm very grateful to you for having chosen me, invited to your platform. I wish you all the very best, and just a matter of time, you also would be one of the top-notch YouTubers in the world with your journalistic experience and the journey you have had. I'm sure you are marching ahead with a lot of aplomb and a lot of glories. Wish you all the
Thank you so
best.
much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Good
Thank you.
night.
Bye bye.